myself, my name is Suzanne Mills, and I'm the editor-in-chief of the American Philatelic Society. And the APS is really proud to host stamp chats where we bring in folks with a ton of different types of expertise to, talk about philately, and also, as in tonight's session, talk about issues that are facing the hobby and how we can work together to solve them and work on them. So tonight is a very exciting session. We have members of the collaboration crew, and this is a new initiative, a fairly new initiative, which is focused on, it's in the name, collaboration, bringing people together from across philately, from different organizations, and finding the ways where we can share resources, share opportunities, and I definitely will not overshadow what they're going to say by trying to just explain it myself. We'll start off with Gregg Redner, who's going to be leading tonight's, hosting tonight's conversation. Gregg, please take it away.
Okay, thanks so much, Susanna. I'll just do a quick little bio about myself, and then I'll introduce our other panelists. I'm currently the president of the Royal Philatelic Society of Canada, and our board over the last year has embraced the idea of collaborating with other societies in a very aggressive way, and so we feel very strongly that this is something that we want to do. So that's why I'm here tonight to moderate. Joining us also is Harold Krische. Harold's a lifelong philatelist who's benefited from some exceptional mentorship along the way. He's been on the executive of the Military Postal History Society for many years, has written many articles, presented numerous Zoom sessions, and is also a member of 13 philatelic societies. Harold highly values sharing, learning, and growing philately together. Next up is Suzanne. Suzanne is the managing director of the Philatelic Traders Society and is on the council of the Royal Philatelic Society of London. She runs Stampex International and virtual Stampex and attends philatelic events around the world. Through her social presence at Art Stamped, she seeks to promote philately to the new and diverse audience and showcase the hobby as a friendly, supportive, read collaboratively, she adds, and limitless adventure. And then last of all, we have David Ball with us. Sorry, David, I'm just looking here. Here we go. David is a collector, exhibitor, and philatelic judge. He serves as the U.S. delegate to FIP for Astrophilately and is a member of the APS Expertising Committee. David is president of the American Airmail Society, and he collects aerophilately, astrophilately, and polar philately. So I guess the question that I think we'll lead off with is, why collaboration now?
I think, Greg, it's important to underscore at the outset that collaboration is present. It is happening in places out there. This is not a brand new thing in that sense. I think part of our excitement stems from the ability to formalize some of those efforts around collaboration and to encourage a lot more of it. There's so many positive things that can be done when we support each other. And those are ultimately things that help philately grow and take us to a better place. They help fuel the passion that a lot of the philatelists out there have. And we can learn a lot from each other. And to be able to do that and recognize where it's happening already and share that, it's such a powerful medium.
Agreed.
I had the most wonderful collaboration experience just yesterday, and I'll share that a little bit later. But it seems to me that there are two different things that are going on. One is there's a tremendous opportunity for us when we collaborate in a number of different ways, and I'll give that as an example later. And the other is that there are stresses on society, on organized philatelic societies, and on dealers, and on stamp shows, and this is an opportunity for us to address those things. And I'm excited about doing it.
Great, thank you. So I think it's really important for everybody to know that the collaboration crew has already made a beginning. We've already taken some initiatives and done some work. This isn't something that's starting tonight out of the gate. It already exists. So maybe we could just speak a little bit about that.
I think we actually go back with the original conversations well over a year ago now, and several philatelists, first independently and then more of us sort of collectively, started to talk a little bit about the importance of giving back to philately and ensuring we get to a better place. And then I think we got to a point where Fred Reynolds and Cheryl Gans said, well, we should really do something. We've talked about it now. And that sort of led to, what does this look like and what can we do? And in line with your question, Greg, the initial efforts were around philatelic shows. When you have convening societies attending a philatelic show, how do they function at that show? What's their interaction like amongst each other? And when we looked at that a little bit, we decided to approach the organizers at Pipex in Portland, Oregon for last May. And they were very supportive. And we had 5 convening societies that worked together to schedule 2 sessions. And one of those sessions ended up being quite powerful, and it was very revealing for me in terms of the degree of interaction and the type of feedback that we received. And the focus was simply, what are societies doing that they feel is working well for them? And the other part of that question, of course, would be, what challenges are out there that you could use some help and assistance with? Mm-hmm. And the session was scheduled for 45 to 50 minutes. I think we ran an hour and 15. There were tools that people put together in support of that session that were held close and valued highly. I still love we sought some feedback, and we got some unsolicited feedback from James Buckner, who's the president, and I can probably read his quote out here because I have it right here. He's the president of the Czechoslovak Philatelic Society, and he sent in an email saying, I now firmly believe that every WSP show, and perhaps even larger FIP type shows, should host a meeting with the convening societies present to discuss ways to collaborate. I'm not sure, however, how to propose this to the many WSP shows or other shows that exist. It should be done. And that underscores the power and value of the efforts that were put in by those convening societies and what they felt they got out of it. And since then, we've started putting some more things together based on some of that. So there are some tools in terms of how to evaluate the success of your society and the needs of your society, things that could make a philatelic society or organization stronger. And so we're continuing to work in that realm right now.
Yeah, and just to follow on from that, I mean, I wasn't there at the Pipex session. Where I came into this was as a result of a roundtable that we ran at virtual Stampex on collaboration, and Harold was there, and a few other people were there who realized that it's not just the physical shows, there is also a wonderful online opportunity, which is why personally I find this collaboration crew so exciting, is because it really is global in nature. And yes, we're using technology, we're also meeting face to face, and that's what collaboration is about, is all the various ways in which we can do it and trying to bring those together. And so as Harold said, you know, there's a lot already going on, and certainly during the pandemic, there was a whole host of resources created And really what we're trying to do now is, as part of the collaboration crew, not just join together the assets, but join together the people and the societies and the people who have the passion and in a way the remit as presidents, secretaries, people involved in the societies to step forward and look for either new ways or ways that they've hoped they could, things they hope they could achieve for a while, to come together and build that network.
Agreed. So Sean Pease, who's made a comment in the webinar chat, said, before COVID, a lot of the sharing that took place was in the form of slideshows and things like that. But now we have this really powerful ability to present PowerPoints and to record them, to do presentations and record them. And I think that he's absolutely right about that. And one of the things that I think is so important is the idea of community and collaboration. I mean, collaboration isn't just about making it easier for societies, it's also about building community. So if that's the case, where have you seen collaboration happening now beyond the things that we've already talked about?
In things like joint presentations. I mean, we're starting to see where societies are reaching out to each other and taking their area of expertise and melding it with somebody else. I mean, you could have somebody who is a ZEP guy and someone who's an airmail guy, and they bring a lot of that same passion and different perspectives, and they do a joint talk, or someone's working on a joint paper, and that's exciting to see.
And there is so much going on. And I think that even just the last few months where I've been part of this group, I hear the stories now every day or so. There's something new that someone puts forward. And I think that's another objective of the collaboration crew is, if you are out there watching YouTubes and reading documents, great, but let's share those things that we're seeing with others and join the collaboration crew and see what things are going on. On the website, on our Facebook group, we are trying to highlight those stories when we see them, where societies have created joint products, assets, educational materials themselves, or tools or learnings. I think that's the other thing, is where one society's done something around an organizational structure or the way in which they communicate, tell the collaboration crew about it, and then we'll help get that out across as many different societies as possible, because there might be someone out there who is looking for that spark of inspiration that your society is already creating for them.
I've been very impressed with what I've seen happening with the society that you're a president of. And in particular, the efforts around the leadership domain to, first of all, have the courage to ask the question, how can we be more effective? What might that look like? What might that feel like? And to involve people in a process around that conversation. And then to come out and not just do something, but to talk about it and to have some flexibility with it and to redesign the responsibilities of individuals that are part of that leadership team. That takes some courage to do. And it's also the type of thing that needs to be shared. And Suzanne just touched on that, but it is so worthy of really emphasizing that point. I've already been looking at some of the comments in the web chat. I noticed, Brian Jones made a comment about his efforts in collaboration in the Silicon Valley. We need to share those initiatives that are happening, that are working well, because we have a lot of it happening. Bob Swanson mentioned that presentations are being shared on the Military Postal History Society website. And those are presentations from others, because we can learn from others. That willingness to engage, to share, to put things forward. One of the so-called tools that we've just recently posted on the Facebook page for the collaboration crew, it talks about what a few societies are doing that are really proactive in their approach. And they actually touch on how they're doing it as well. So it's one thing to say we're looking to find younger people to be part of our executive to help with succession planning in our society. How do you go about doing that?
Mm-hmm.
And those things do need those are often the behind the scenes things that really do need to be shared. And that's part of what Collaboration Crew is looking to be able to do, is to share that out there, to to have a place where people can go and find some of these tools. But ultimately, we're also going to be relying on people to tell us what they're doing, what's working well, what could they use help with.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's super good point. So, in this early 21st century, what are the different ways that collaboration can be seen? What does it look like going forward in the vision of this august group?
I think there's so many different aspects to that. I've tried to push myself in the last 18 months. And for me, that's also included writing 3 articles collaboratively with other philatelists, including 2 philatelists that I've never worked with before. That brings challenges at times. It pushes your boundaries to grow. It also facilitates a lot of thinking around how do we share? What do best practices actually look like and feel like? And you start to recognize the power of collaboration when the critical feedback you get in that process makes you a better writer, a better philatelic writer. And I felt that. So for me, that's been powerful.
We've done quite a bit of thinking, haven't we? You know, the panel here and other people involved in the collaboration crew around, to your question, Greg, you know, what does it look like? You know, looking at what is the mission of the collaboration crew. So if you want to look at it all, you can go on the website and look at the About Us section, and our mission statement is there and very clearly laid out in things like sharing knowledge, running those joint initiatives, you know, looking for ways in which we can collaborate on research, and things like crossing the boundaries on language and digitalization projects that exist and that everyone's kind of bashing away at it. But if we can work together, do we achieve more, you know, easier, cheaper, quicker, attending events. And what we also have tried to do within the collaboration crew is, again, the practicality of this. How do people actually get involved? Is create 4 almost like pit crews around, again, what can you actually do? So those include things like engaging in events, you know, attend events, whether they're in person or online. Everybody here, all the attendees that are here, great, you're already attending something, participating with your chats and your comments. Communication and sharing what you've got and looking for ways to really get those stories and those learnings out there to as many people as possible. Sharing resources, another area that we think people can get involved in, and we've got some ideas, and we've got a project coming up around how everybody here could be involved in assisting with that build of knowledge. And then looking for those projects that are out there that maybe do require formal collaboration across societies, that really will drive forward the hobby in the future. So we have done some thinking there, and on the website there is a section about those types of pit crews and some of the things that people can practically do. But I was just noticing there, one of the comments, I think it was Brian again, who said, you know, that there's more to gain than there is to lose. And I think that's always my question, that kind of point to people, is to say, well, what have you got to lose by stepping forward and attempting to collaborate? And I think that first step forward of, well, how, what can I do? What's the small step that I can make, is another thing that we're just trying to put in place at the moment for all of you out there and people that you know who do want to take that step forward. Just a concrete example for me that just just happened yesterday. So I thought, oh well, this is kind of what we're talking about. You know, we think about collaboration as being something inside the hobby, but it needn't be. So here's an envelope that I picked up recently, and it's prisoner of war mail. It was sent from a grandmother who's writing her first letter to her grandson, who was on Wake Island. And Wake Island was attacked at the same time as Pearl Harbor, and they fought off the Japanese, and there were a couple of different engagements. And Wake Island was surrendered by the United States in December, December 23rd, and that's when this seaman became a POW, and he went by ship to China,
and then on to a concentration, to a POW camp. And I mean, this is postal history, right? And it talks about, what happened to him and his family and all this relation. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting if I reached out to somebody who might know something about this stuff? And I happened to be on Facebook, and I saw that there was a Wake Island group of people that are just interested in Wake Island during the war. So I sent them, this picture, and I said, I want to write an article about this. Do you guys know anything? And do they know anything? Okay. I mean, they've been working on this stuff for years. So yesterday or this morning, I get from one of the guys a set of perhaps 20 attachments, and it's a file just on this particular seaman. Okay. I mean, they captured 300 or 400 of these guys, and they have 300 or 400 of these files. And this file has newspaper clippings. It has stuff from the National Archives. It shows, when he enlisted. And I mean, I know his eye color. I know the day that he saluted in World War I, all of this stuff from my article. And now I want to write this article with this group, So here's somebody outside of Philately, but they're very interested in postal history. All of a sudden they see, oh, they've been, churning through this stuff now for years. And now somebody comes up and says, oh, I have this really interesting letter. Can you help me with this? So, I mean, collaboration can not only be about, one society helping another society. It's not that size of a pie. It's all people that are interested in history, all people that are interested in the topics that we're talking about. And I'm excited to write the article now. And where is this article going to appear? It might very well appear it's likely to appear in a place that I've never been before. And does that grow the hobby? Does it make new connections? I think it does.
I love that, David. There's another couple of articles that are on the website news feed that is about stepping out of philately. And I think that something that we always talk, Greg, you asked the question at the start, why now? It's because we do get people saying, well, the hobby's evolving and we do need to reach out to wider audiences. And these are really, really good examples of where we get the joy and other people get the joy from collaborating within and without.
I had a direct example of this. I was challenged by a member of the RPSC as a way to get the word out about philately to people who may have forgotten, or who have never been involved, to write an article for a local history society about the post office in our area. So I chose the little town of Banner, Ontario, which is literally like 7 people. That's where my wife's family is from. And I didn't even know where to start. There's one postmark recorded on the Postal History Society of Canada website. But to show you how powerful the idea of collaboration is, somebody in the Postal History Society put me in touch with Bob Stock, who's the president of the PHSC. Turns out that Bob, who lives in British Columbia on the west coast of Canada, is the expert on Oxford County postal history, which is where Banner is. Bob sent me all kinds of information. We got along really well. We hadn't really ever met each other. He was very helpful. And now our 2 societies, because of that interaction, are running a postal history symposium in November online. So from a simple question of, gee, Bob, I was told you know something about Oxford postal history, it grew into this wonderful postal history symposium that's being run by 2 societies that have very different directions, and I would never have expected that to be the case. All right, well, let's move on. Can you explain, in this busy time that we live in, and I mean, the demands on people's times get greater and greater, and we're all busier and doing lots and lots of things. Can you explain why the good people who have taken time out of their evening to come and listen about the collaboration crew, what you can say to them to not ask why they should belong to the group, but to explain to them why we actually need them to belong?
Yeah, I mean, we need your expertise. I mean, you have a passion. You've been collecting this stuff for who knows how long, and we have questions, or we have, you know, we're stronger when we're together. The kinds of things that we can build when we're two organizations or three organizations is so much more. I mean, I'm interested in us creating a database of all things, and where does all that crowdsource data come from? Where do the resources come to build it? We need you. We need you. You know, we are so much stronger and smarter and more excited when we do things together.
What I love about this group is that it's not a commercial venture. It's a real mix of societies, from trade to specialist to generic to, there's no, other than everybody wanting for philately to be thriving and for the amount of information to be flowing and for people to feel energized and for us to be collaborating in and outside the hobby. All of that is the agenda. Now, what the collaboration crew is aiming to do is to provide that mechanism for that flurry of collaboration activity. And we can only do that if we have people flurrying around. So what we're seeking for people to do is to get their society involved. So if you are part of a society, get involved in the collaboration crew. Think about where you can contribute. We have loads of things that we have on the plan. Can't all be done from the start, but there's things that people can be contributing to today. There's projects which will be built over the next few months and potentially years. So that's the collaboration crew kind of doesn't create, we create on behalf of everybody providing that information. And even on the website, on Facebook, one of the ways in which you can contribute is purely commenting. I'm seeing it here on the webinar chat. There's already great ideas flowing, and that's thanks to the APS bringing us to do the stamp chat. So there's an example straight away of an opportunity that's come about, but is only possible and is only as energizing it is because of all of you guys there having this conversation with us here.
I'm encouraged to see so many people on the stamp chat. I really am. When 50, 60, 70 people, and I don't know how many people are going to see this after it's been recorded, but it says that there are people out there that have an interest, and I think that's great.
And I think one of the things that I have picked up from being involved in the group, not from its exact beginning, but pretty early on, is that and you can correct me on this if you and add to it. I feel like this is a service group. We really are not. There's no advantage to the people who are managing this right now to having more people involved. It's not to our benefit. We realize that as a group, we're all stronger, and that every time someone joins, they add a new corner and component to the work and make it more rich.
And there are some things that, as that service, I mean, I just said we don't create anything. We are creating some things. There was a comment earlier saying, an example of a how-to guide for societies on some of the issues that all societies face. And we know, again, there's many assets that are out there. So we're looking at the moment of taking as many of those assets as possible and condensing them into a really, really simple step-by-step guide to things like how to use Zoom, how to use Wikipedia, how to manage your society Facebook group, really simple the kind of core things that, irrespective of the specialism of your society, every society is doing the same things or should be doing the same things. And in many cases, as we said before, we're so busy that it does come down to a lot of societies stretching resources. And if we can provide some really, really simple tools to help societies then release some time to be able to do more collaboration, then that's part of our objective as well.
I'm certainly hopeful that most people joining us here today are here because they're also interested in helping shape the culture of philately and to support us getting to that better place. And one of the things that I've recognized with the collaboration crew, as I've worked and learned with our group, every person exudes a passion for philately. They've highly valued their process, their experiences, their learning, and their willingness is now to share and to do so freely and with the passion, the same passion that has been part of their other activities. And that's exciting in and of itself. But that's such a huge part of a significant further cultural transition that'll help this hobby.
Yeah.
And I think that's the exciting piece. I think we always want to be effective. We want to be efficient in things we do. And if you can do that and combine it with the passion that you have for what you're interested in and do it working with others, does it get any better?
I get the question quite a lot, which is like, people, I'm putting words in the mouth, but they want to leave a legacy. They want to say, actually, this has been my life for however many years, whether it's 10 years, 50 years. I have lived and breathed philately. I love like stamps, and I want to leave something, not because you're going to pass away, just to invest in it now, and to be recognized for that. And it's another thing that we're looking at for the collaboration crew is how do we put those kind of collaboration champions forward, to recognize the amazing work that some people are doing, but also to encourage and inspire others to also step forward and leave their own legacy in the hobby.
Where's the idea of the collaboration crew headed? If you were czar of the universe, each one of you, and you could, and you could chart the course, where do you see it going, and what do you see happening as the movement continues to grow?
I think for me, it's to see it evolve where it becomes a foundational piece of philatelic culture. That we start almost initially with the premise of working together and sharing, and not having any concerns or to be afraid of asking sometimes the challenging and difficult questions. Again, there's some great examples of that out there that I see happening, and just drawing people's attention to some of those things is going to be really helpful as well. Gregg, you already alluded to the joint venture that you've been involved in. I also really like there's a session coming up that the Royal Philatelic Society of Canada has been promoting, and it's on research in philately. Well, those types of focus points cut across all elements and spectrums of philately. It doesn't matter if you're a topical collector of caps on stamps, or if you're military postal history collector for Wake Island in World War II. And there's despite our specific interests, we have a lot that can be shared, and that sharing can really facilitate powerful growth and bring confidence to do more, to look at more, to explore further. And so that's a really positive proposition. And I think anything we can do to create structures in place to facilitate that is wonderful. If we can push the thinking of societies, organizations, individuals to focus on sharing, on collaborative work, on so many different dimensions, whether it's the writing piece, whether it's dealing with some of the issues you're facing, succession planning for societies. I read an article a couple of weeks ago that talked about a society in the UK that recently folded because they had no president in place, and their editor had just passed away, and they were really struggling with all the elements of leadership. Those challenges require planning. So how do you do that? What does that look like? We have some people who are doing it well out there. We have some people who are thinking about leadership transition. How do we ensure that we've got somebody in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years to step into the role of president? What steps do we take to ensure that we have some youth part of our executive in a society? That's very challenging in some respects, but it can be done with some creativity and some thinking. And when that is happening, and when it's happening successfully, that should be shared. And I was recently part of an experience that I wasn't sure how it was going to go, but the nominating committee with the Military Postal History Society. They really went at it. They were looking to find youth to put on the executive for 2025. We went, in terms of looking for youth, one of the things we did, and this is feedback that might be useful for you as well, Susanna, for the APS, we went back to see what the APS was doing with your youth initiatives in philately. And I ran across names in the last 5 years of people who've gone through the APS program, was able to find somebody who wrote an article for your magazine last year, I believe it was, or earlier this year, who I believe she's 21 years old and has an interest in military postal history based on the article she wrote. I simply followed up with her, had a great conversation, asked if she would be willing to be on our executive as a youth member. She was delighted. I also took a look at the military-related exhibits that were out there across North America and found 2 individuals who were exhibiting, and they were under the age of 35. One of those is now going to be our secretary for next year. And so those efforts took a bit of time and a bit of initiative, but they've actually helped to transform the entire leadership team to put us in a much better place going forward. And that type of stuff should be shared.
Someone has made the point that, of course, we hear a lot about, in the chat has made the point that we hear a lot about bringing young people into the hobby, but we shouldn't forget about seniors and people who are maybe in retirement homes and things along those lines. And I would like to offer to anybody that would like to have it. I was contacted by a member of the RPSC probably 4 weeks ago, and he was going to do a presentation in a local seniors home about philately, but he said, I can run a computer and I can run PowerPoint, but I don't know how to make one. What should we do? And I said, well, give me like a half an hour and I'll make you a PowerPoint, and you can change it any way that you want. And he went and he started a very small stamp club in this seniors home. And so what I would like to say is, as an example of extending collaboration to anybody who's in the audience tonight, we'd love at the RPSC to share that PowerPoint with you, and you can change it in any way that you would like, because I feel like it's so easy to say, oh, well, we just can't do it. I don't know how to do it, or I don't know what to do. But if you've got a group of people that you can reach out to who have set their minds on trying to be helpful, between the 50 of us or so that are now part of this group, there ought probably to be someone who can help you. And I think this is a wonderful example of that. I had no intention of creating a PowerPoint that would create a seniors philately group in a retirement home, but somebody asked, and so there it was. So if you'd like a copy of it, get in touch with me and I'll be glad to share it with you.
Maybe we can find a way of sharing that on the website and Facebook group.
Sure.
Everybody can do that.
And someone just asked in the chat about they have a small stamp club, and how can they bring something into the stamp club? And I wrote him back and I said, well, just ask one of the panelists to be a Zoom presenter for you. Yeah. We'd be happy to come and talk either about something that we're particularly passionate about, or talking about how they can get plugged into philately.
I think there will be tools. They're already in development. There's already some on the website. Tools aimed at helping society sharing experiences and learnings. There will absolutely be assets. Someone's just mentioned kind of open sourcing our philatelic knowledge. That's why personally, the Wikipedia project that we're working on as the collaboration crew is a big part of that, getting as much information out there as possible. My kind of feeling is, a probably cultural point as well, is that, I've been in philately my whole life, but really only in organized philately for the last 10 years. It's my home, and I want as many people as possible, to the point about the small stamp club. older generation, younger generation, wherever you are in the world, whatever you collect, I want you to feel like Philately is a safe space, that events are safe and friendly, that virtual Stampex events are open to all, that exhibiting is something that you can start if you want to. So I see there being a role for the collaboration crew in bringing together all those people that share that same passion to make sure that Philately is seen as a home for people who want to come into and join us, and that's how I see the future of this, is that everything is open and free and friendly, and there's no barriers to getting involved and starting your collecting journey.
Part of the conversation and discussion that our leadership team has had is around how do we evaluate what we're doing, just to be cognizant of that, and to sit down and say, in 3 months' time, what is collaboration crew and what we're doing and what our impact is going to look like? We started that at PIPEX in terms of saying, hey, convening societies, give us feedback. That was helpful. I think that's part of the moving forward piece too. It's also about role modeling and doing that with intentionality of purpose. I glanced earlier and I think Oliver had just noted mentorship in his comments in the chat. Well, yeah. Mentorship is huge. For all of us who've been around for a period of time, and whether it's 2 or 3 years or whether it's 10 years formally, Suzanne, like it doesn't matter. We have the opportunity to be mentors, to be supportive, to provide guidance and direction. And my experience has been that philatelists are so willing to do that. To do that in an environment where that's readily accepted and promoted and supported provides the type of experience that David shared with us earlier with his cover. Mm-hmm. It provides the type of experience where Bethany Hunter, the young lady I was talking about, who's the youth philatelist, when she says to me, yes, Harold, I'm really looking forward to working with the Military Postal History Society in this way, because I really benefited from the mentorship that Cheryl Gans provided me, and I'm looking for more of that. That's incredibly encouraging for me. And I think that helps us in terms of our vision of moving forward as well.
And one of the things we've also been doing, well, Greg, you were also in the meeting, is we're looking for being clear on where the collaboration crew can be at events, when members can be at events. And again, that's something that anyone here can put themselves forward to also be a representative. So, just new people coming in or people who haven't been involved in collaborations before, is having, again, a safe environment, someone to speak to. We can introduce you to people at events, just connect the dots, really, and face-to-face or online if that's easier for people, if travel's not possible. So that's another thing that we really want to be able to do. So putting those mentors in place, but even just putting connections in place to introduce societies to societies.
And I think it's really important. Earlier, probably 30 comments ago or so, somebody made the comment that this sounds directed towards serious philatelists. And I don't think it was an accusatory comment, but I would like to say that in my time in this group, there's been as much attention to the casual philatelist and their needs as there has been to the people that, write monographs and books about, a single stamp. So whether you are somebody that, plates particular issue and are an expert on that, or whether you are somebody who simply is trying to find new ideas for your club. There's plenty of interest here to be able to help across the board. So please don't think that this is an exclusive group of high-minded thinkers. I think if you look at the screen, you can tell that's not the case.
You have to be serious, but you don't have to be knowledgeable.
That's right, exactly.
I mean, if you have a passion about what it is that you want to do and you want help with that, we want to help.
Well said. So what do people who join the collaboration crew, how can they help us grow the organization? What are the things that they can do in a very simple sense? We're not talking about joining a committee or writing position papers. What are some simple things that the average person can do? I mean, I was going to offer just the following, that you go and visit the web page. We're working really hard on the web page, and we've had a little conversation before you come in where we've said, it's a work in progress, and it will continue to develop, as we do it. We actually think it's pretty terrific, but there's always room to grow. You can join the Facebook page. The Collaboration Crew Facebook page, where you can share ideas and information and ask questions. And what are some other tools that people can access? I know we've mentioned a lot about the material on the website and the things that we're adding. What are some other things we can do?
Yeah, maybe I just actually quickly bring that up. Susanna, thank you for putting the website link in there. But if I just bring that up to show people what you can see, so hopefully everyone can see my screen at this stage. So on the homepage, you'll be able to find quick links to our mission statement and some of our latest blog posts on the homepage. And some events. And if you have any events that you think are championing collaboration, Gregg mentioned the Postal History Symposium, let us know and we'll get that up there for people to be alerted to. There's loads of links here, but if we just go into the Join Us page, there's ways that you can get involved. So you can write a post, but to Gregg's point, it doesn't need to be a huge article. If you're just comfortable just sending us a link to an example of something you've collaborated on, or just a short blurb, a few sentences, whatever you feel comfortable with, send that in to us and we'll get that going out to many people. If you feel more comfortable recording an audio message or doing a quick video on your mobile phone, that's a great way of getting more people engaged. Then send us that and we can get that up onto the site as well. And even at a very basic level, if you check out our news, that's where we're going to be sharing these stories. You can just comment on those stories. You can read them, even if you're just commenting saying, sounds great, I'm feeling inspired, whatever that is. The more we get those comments going, the more that they will demonstrate where there's the passion to collaborate. So there's a few areas around the news. We also have these pit crews. So if you have got more time, if someone in your society you feel would benefit from being more heavily involved in some of the projects that we're running, we have 4 pit crews that we're looking for team members and team leaders on. So there's a bit of information there. And if you have any interest in that, then let us know and we'll put the right kind of support around you so you can get the most from that. And as Gregg said, hit up the Facebook group, join that. We also have the start of some of our resources being shared. So we have updates on events if you haven't been able to participate in person. We have just some insights that we're going to be starting to add some articles there. And then as we develop the guides and tools, we're trying to get one published a month because we want them to be high quality tools that can be used. Get those and we'll get those on there, but also do share your comments because all of these assets are collaborative. So as you share your experiences, we will continue to revise the assets so they become richer and richer in content. So that's you can set up a member page if you want to and that kind of thing, but that's the basis of how you can get started today.
We've had some questions and we've answered them in the middle of or attempted to. Does anybody have anything that they would like to ask that we can address as we go on? Susanna?
Yes, well, I do have a question. I think it was kind of alluded to, but I think that, some people in some societies might fear, giving too much away, like they really want their resources to be for their members. Do you have any, responses to that kind of worry that some people might feel?
Yeah, let me try to address that because we've been talking about that in the American Airmail Society. One of the things, an initiative that we're trying to work on is the idea of having reciprocal memberships. And you generate research content, you produce a website, and you have all this wonderful material that somebody made an effort to do, and you have yearly dues and this kind of stuff, and you feel like you need to be protective of that. Let me simply suggest that if a society went to the American Airmail Society and said, we'll give you a digital membership if you give us your digital membership, what did it actually cost us? What was the incremental additional cost associated with sharing our knowledge with somebody? Now, maybe we can't send you a printed magazine because that costs us some money, but in terms of giving us access to the website, in terms of letting you come and join our club auction, does this make us bigger and stronger? Does it swell our ranks when now we have all these associate memberships and these people are seeing what we're doing and they're collaborating with us? So it's we need to step back for a moment and not so much ask, if I let somebody in and I don't make them pay, I'm losing something. Instead, ask yourself, what will it cost if I give somebody everything that I can give them without it costing me something? And I think what you'll find is it's a lot. And if there's a society out there that would like to become a member of the American Airmail Society, contact me and say, hey, we want to be able to share that stuff, and we would love to do that.
At the RPSC, the Royal Philatelic Society of Canada, we just made the decision. This, as Harold mentioned, coming up in October, we have a 3 Tuesday night session on introduction to philatelic research. We did an introduction to exhibiting last year, and these were new to us this year. We have a stamp chat and stamp panel program that happens every month, but focusing on one thing was new. And the board made the decision as soon as we agreed that we were going to take this on, that it should be completely open to everybody, and membership should not be required, and there was no cost for participating. Because the idea is, we want to be able to share the knowledge that our amazing group of presenters has with the philatelic community globally, and not be exclusive to ourselves. And if you want to be really excited about the research seminar coming up, one Harold Krische, who is present here, is going to be doing one of the sessions. So you've gotten to know Harold tonight, and you should come and participate in it. Again, we'll put the link on the Collaboration Club crew website. But we lose nothing by opening our resources to the people in the philatelic community. What we do is we gain lots of new friends and lots of people that we wouldn't ordinarily come across. And I'll be quiet after this, but I went to the Royal, which is our convention for the RPSC, which was in Fredericton, New Brunswick. And the funniest thing is I'm 6'8", so I'm very tall, but I don't look nearly that tall on Zoom. And everybody said, wow, first of all, you look much taller in person. But the point was, none of us had ever met each other, but we knew each other because we were part of this community of people that shared ideas and information on Zoom meetings of various groups.
Yeah, I was at GAS last month and I felt like I knew so many people in the room, hugging everybody. And I was like, actually, I've never actually met you face to face, but I've been chatting to you for years. It's an interesting question, because I think that we want as much information to flow throughout the hobby as possible, but many of us are sitting on membership type societies where we have fee structures and assets that considered to be valuable, and that's it's a challenge that I certainly feel if I take my royal hat off, put my PTS hat back on. The monetization of dealers' assets is something which we understand, but with projects like Virtual Stampex, we have a new Display Your Way feature coming to the physical show, and with our blog, with our collector-facing newsletter, I would say that the tables are turning. I think that more and more people are understanding that we have to do things to stimulate activity within the hobby, and if that means sharing information, that's surely more valuable than holding it back.
Suzanne and Gregg, I would even push it further at this point and say that we have some fabulous opportunities to push this right outside of the philatelic domain.
Mm-hmm.
And for those people, when you get a chance to take a look at the website, Suzanne has posted an article there that will give you good idea as to how that's possible. I had an experience that involved a person who was interested in genealogy, no interest in philately whatsoever. Lady's name was Erica Berg, and she had run across a presentation I did a few years ago for the APS on the YouTube site. The APS put her in touch with me, and she had a bunch of questions about trying to get information on her grandfather, who was in a Japanese prisoner of war camp in World War I. I was able to find 5 pieces of his communication, letters, envelopes, postcards, shared those with her. She was absolutely delighted because she hadn't been able to find any of that through her genealogical efforts. The next thing I know that was happening is I now had a genealogical society contact me because they wanted more information on postal history, how that works, and how they might be able to tie in with it. Those types of opportunities are out there. I wasn't even thinking of it at the time. Well, I ended up writing an article with Erica together and ended up getting more requests for information from 2 other genealogical societies. So those are some interesting aspects that we might not even think about originally, but they're out there. And I mention that particularly because Brian Jones in the chat asked a question earlier where he said, do we dare extend our collaboration outside of philately? And I would say absolutely. I would think there's benefits to doing that could be considerable.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen experiences before where historians have taken note of what postal history in particular can offer and have spent time on the postal history elements because of something they were doing for their historical interest. And that includes a person who heads up the archives in Kingston, Jamaica. Never had any idea as to what might be available through looking at documents and records associated with postal history. So we have to be mindful of that. I think we can promote the hobby outside of the hobby, and I think that's beneficial for us as well.
I do want to quickly say, first of all, I love that everyone is sharing their own resources in the webinar chat. That's something we can definitely follow up on. And I would encourage you all to check out the Collaboration Crew website, check out their Facebook page, and as you come up with more resources in your mind, share those as you're doing now. And I also want to read out something Kevin said in the chat, which I think is kind of a great summary of the vibe of what's happening here. He says, knowledge is power, so share it, as you never know what new ideas will spring from others after they heard what you shared. Beautifully put.
I love that. I was looking at collaboration quotes earlier today, so we might use that, Kevin, I think, on the website. And thank you to everyone. I can see that people are already signing up and sending us information and contact forms. So thank you to everyone who's already stimulated by the discussion.
That's great. Well, thank you, David. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Harold. And most especially, thank you to the APS for allowing us the bandwidth to do this, and for Susanna, who's been an enormous help putting it together. We're very grateful to you, and we thank you for the time you've spent on it.
Oh, thank you all. And thank you to everyone who joined us tonight for our stamp chat.